Got great ideas, but no idea how to build a website? Get Bluehost. Their AI design tool creates high-quality WordPress sites super fast. Whether you're a blogger, influencer, or launching a side hustle, Bluehost helps boost your growth with built-in marketing and e-commerce tools. Upgrade to cloud to get 100% uptime and 24/7 security to stay online all the time. Why wait? You've got the vision. Make it real. Visit Bluehost.com to get started.
Build up to Black Friday with savings all month long at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances, plus take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. And don't wait to pick up holiday inflatables under $20. Don't wait to save, in-store or online now, because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/6 through 12/4. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for details and qualifying items while supplies last.
In Louisiana, a man is facing another murder charge after two women are killed at the same location 7 months apart. In Missouri, a police officer is accused of sexually abusing 8 detainees. And Mike has an update on the new book covering the JFK assassination. These stories and more coming at you today, Thursday, October 5th, on Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agovino. Hello, guys.
What's up? Thursday. It
is,
right?
Indeed.
I need a weekend. I didn't get a weekend last week. All my teams lost. It was all kinds of shitty stuff.
Man, I had
this weekend. I need a weekend.
I had too much of a weekend.
You had too much, and Mike didn't have enough, the way you were jumping around after getting that big award. Did you hurt yourself? By the way, it looked like you might have strained your groin.
In the years past, I would have had videos, and people have been shooting videos. But the LSU game was on, and I was watching it by myself on the iPad. Nobody knew it. I mean, some of the people knew what I was doing, but when I ran out of the building, I scared them.
Yeah.
Like, he's a man. This dude's crazy.
They gotta know how to roll with the Woodster.
That and a case of beer. It's not a good mix.
Well, have you guys decided which day will be the destruction of my forehead next week?
I'm thinking we're gonna try Thursday. We're gonna have to work that into the show. I'm
down to destroy Mike's head anytime you'd like.
I know you are. Today, it's the 5th, so that's the 12th.
12th, right? Yeah. All right. Let's do it on the 12th.
All right.
And that'll be fun.
It will be.
For everybody but Mike.
We'll even video it.
Yeah, we're going to video the shit out of it. That's for sure.
We are.
Maybe we can get some local news.
I'm going to publish some rules. I'm going to work on some rules.
That's right.
I'll have to get some Visqueen or something here before then.
No smashing the eggs from a distance of less than 2 inches. So I can't be humming them like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
All right. Let's get into some crime time. We love y'all.
All right. In a shocking turn of events, a Louisiana man previously charged with murder in July is now facing additional charges for a second murder that occurred at the same location in December. The Baton Rouge police have unveiled the disturbing connection between these two crimes and shed some light on the tragic sequence of events. Cedric Lang, a 35-year-old resident of Baton Rouge, has found himself at the center of a harrowing criminal investigation. He's been charged with the murder of 26-year-old Christina Hobbs, whose life was tragically cut short on December 26 of 2022 in her home at the Florida Vista condominiums. The initial investigation into Hobbs' death led authorities to believe it was a suicide, but recent developments have uncovered a more sinister truth. Hobbs was discovered lifeless in her residence, the victim of a gunshot wound, according to the police, and this revelation has sent shockwaves into the community as it indicates that Lang was potentially involved in 2 separate murders at the same location within the span of just a few months. The first victim, 42-year-old Rachel Johnson, met a tragic end on July 3rd. She was found dead at the same residence, having succumbed to blunt force trauma as determined by autopsy. The circumstances surrounding Johnson's death were far from ordinary and suggested that a brutal and violent crime occurred. Police were initially alerted to a possible overdose on that day, only to be confronted with a gruesome crime scene upon arrival. The woman they encountered bore the telltale signs of a severe beating. Her eyes were swollen shut, her face and body displayed extensive bruising, and her injuries indicated that she had suffered a savage assault. It appeared as though she had been forcibly slammed into a piece of furniture, causing it to break, and then subjected to relentless trauma to her head and face. Residents in the vicinity provided some critical information to law enforcement. They reported that the suspect, Cedric Lang, had sought help from a neighbor, instructing them to call 911 because Rachel Johnson was dead inside the apartment. After making the call, Lang promptly left the scene, leaving behind gruesome crimes. The official cause of Johnson's death was determined to be blunt force trauma, both past and present. Shockingly, a witness came forward recounting the horrific scene in which they had seen Lang brutally assault Johnson with his fist. The witness also claimed to have overheard Lang threatening to kill Johnson when he became enraged. In a disturbing twist, the Baton Rouge police conducted a comprehensive investigation into his past, and data records from 3 local jurisdictions revealed a deepingly troubled pattern. Multiple reports from these 3 separate individuals who have been in a relationship with Lang, and each of these individuals say he physically abused them and expressed their desire to escape these abusive relationships. To compound that grim narrative, 2 separate protective orders have been filed against Lang, indicating a history of violence. The mounting evidence against Lang sent shockwaves, obviously, through the community and prompted questions about how such a pattern of abuse and brutality could persist. As Cedric Lang faces charges related to both the beating death of Rachel Johnson and the murder of Christina Hobbs, the entire Baton Rouge community grapples with the disturbing revelation that the community was home to such heinous acts of violence, and the investigation is continuing. So
crazy.
This is a situation where the pattern is just disturbing with this guy. 3 past complaints of abuse, and then you find out he murdered not 1 but 2 people with his fist.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if he hadn't had more bodies than that on him.
Yeah.
But beating them people.
You're right.
That's very personal. Even more intimate than stabbing, right?
Right.
So craziness. This is a shitty story. It gives all good cops a black eye, but a one-time police officer in St. Louis, Missouri is being accused of sexually assaulting 8 men he detained or arrested over an 8-month period. According to a statement released by the U.S. Attorney's Office, Marcellus Blackwell, previously known as Willis Green Overstreet III, was indicted on 21 federal charges Wednesday, accusing him of sexually assaulting the men between November of 2022 and June of 2023. The indictments include 16 counts of deprivation of rights under color of law, meaning to willfully deprive a person of a right to self-determination over one's body, and 5 counts of altering records in a federal investigation. He's going to prison. Blackwell, 34, was accused in court documents of detaining and kidnapping 8 men in separate incidents and turning off his body camera prior to fondling their genitals while they were handcuffed and committing an act of abusive sexual contact. It's just, you don't ever hear about it. I've never heard of a male doing it to other male detainees. It's always females, right? But the indictment also includes an accusation that Blackwell sodomized one detainee by digitally penetrating him in an act of aggravated sexual abuse. None of the victims' names were released. We wouldn't tell you if they were. But the FBI St. Louis division is investigating the case. Jay Greenberg, special agent in charge of the FBI in St. Louis, said, "Our focus is on Blackwell's alleged abuse of a power to sexually assault his victims. Our goal is to bring justice to the victims and provide victim services." The press release notes that the motion, which seeks to have Blackwell held in jail until trial, claims He victimized people. He thought he would be less likely to report his behavior. Marcellus was first arrested on June 7th in connection with one of the alleged victims, who claimed to officers that Marcellus touched his genitals without his consent, while his hands were cuffed behind his back, while he was taken into custody on June 3rd. At the time, Marcellus was charged with one count of sodomy or attempted sodomy in connection with the alleged incident. While held on $500,000 cash-only bond, he pled not guilty to the state charges and resigned from the North County Police Cooperative. In a statement, Major Ron Martin said the North County Police began an investigation of Marcellus as soon as it received the allegation, and he said, "We will hold all of our police officers and employees accountable for their actions." He noted, "These allegations are massively disheartening, but we can reassure the community we expect the members of this law enforcement agency to conduct their duties with diligence, transparency, professionalism, and within the law." After that, y'all, 7 more victims came forward, according to court documents, and the alleged perpetrator's phone also contained videos of several more of the unidentified victims. If you're a man like that, I bet you there's more than that. They're embarrassed and they want to come forward. But U.S. Attorney Sailor A. Fleming said in the statement, "We still have not identified all of the men who appear in the recordings on the defendant's phone, and I'd like to encourage any potential victims to contact the FBI or the U.S. Attorney's Office. The conduct alleged in the indictment is unacceptable for anyone, but infinitely more so for a police officer and when it involves handcuffed, helpless victims." Blackwell has not yet entered a plea, and the FBI in St. Louis has established a hotline for potential victims of this idiot to come forward with any information.
Yeah. I don't see a whole lot of people coming.
Yeah, you want to come forward and say that. But, I mean,
that's horrible.
He probably thought they were of that sexual mindset or whatever, and I don't know. Maybe it worked for him a couple times.
Things are shitty. You're in a freaking police car. You're handcuffed. You're dreading what's about to happen, and then
dropping your pants and sticking your finger up your ass.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Maybe he's going to get to go to prison, get all of that he wants.
So, question: the body cams that cops wear. Is there any sort of master review of how often it was on during the week, when it was on? Any way that they track that?
All I can tell you about that is because the first cameras were in, and I installed in cars right before I went to detectives, and those are mounted in the trunk, and only the supervisors had the key. And I guess if you got a complaint, I'm sure they changed this as people have broken the rules and done whatever, but I don't know the answer to that. But I would imagine now it's not recorded to their cars; it's probably uploaded to the cloud or something. I don't know how it works, to be honest. You know what? I'm gonna research that. I should know that.
They definitely can track when they were turned off and on.
I know that
because I've seen it in cases. But
because if they were tracking that data consistently, maybe they would see it with others and it wouldn't get flagged, but they would consistently see a pattern of this guy shutting down his cam.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna look into that. Maybe I'll call Sheriff R and get him tell me what they do.
Wow, that's
interesting.
That's a new one there. Okay.
Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
Okay, so I know you guys both know a lot about the JFK assassination, the Warren Commission report, the various theories about what really happened. And so I hope this can be a conversation, not me just recapitulating the story of this guy's book. But I think this is a pretty significant thing that has happened. This book will get released on the 10th of the month. The book that I'm talking about is called The Final Witness. It is written by a guy by the name of Paul Landis, who was a Secret Service agent on the JFK detail. He officially was assigned to Jackie Onassis Kennedy on November 22nd, 1963. This guy has remained silent for 60 years. He says his reasons for remaining silent were one, that he thought he would be called to testify by the Warren Commission. Early on, they never called him to testify. He gave written reports, and he thought those would be reviewed and he would be asked questions. It never happened. He let a lot of years go by. He has gotten old, and he wanted to get it on the record before he passed away. He has done, which is unusual, to do that many in-depth interviews before the release of your book, but he has done, that's what he's done. So he did a New York Times interview that resulted in a lengthy piece. He's done a number of appearances on big talk shows, and there was most recently a big cover spread in Vanity Fair, Jim's favorite magazine that he loves to tease me about. But everyone who has talked to this gentleman has given pretty consistent feedback that he's lucid, appears to be genuine and honest, And I guess the biggest thing is there's no real motive, obvious motive what he would achieve, what he would get if and you know, he's 88.
Other than the book,
he's 88 years old. Yeah. So don't know how much benefit he would get from a book released at 88 years old. So here's essentially what his claim is, and then we'll talk a little bit about how it impacts what the Warren Commission's final report concluded and how that plays into a couple of these theories and conspiracies. So he says, and we talked about this last time, that after Kennedy was pulled out of the limo, he noticed a bullet that was laying at the top of the back seat where Kennedy was, that the bullet sat on a spot where I guess the convertible top would normally have sat folded, but since they removed the convertible tops that day, it sat right there. There were crowds that were forming around, that were following the limo to Parkland Hospital, and so he was afraid that somebody would take a souvenir, and so he took it, knowing he was handling evidence that he probably shouldn't have been handling. He brought the bullet into the hospital, and according to Landis, he put the bullet on Kennedy's stretcher, not Governor John Connally's stretcher, which the Warren Commission theory of the so-called magic bullet is that bullet, the bullet that Landis claims he put on Kennedy's stretcher. In the Warren Commission report, they claim that that bullet was found on Governor Connally's stretcher, and their final report claimed that the first shot was a miss, didn't hit anything. They just never found the bullet or any fragments of the bullet. The second shot went through the back of Kennedy's back, exited out his throat, entered the rib cage of Connally, traveled into his leg and arm from there, and that the bullet came out and emerged on his stretcher. That was a very difficult theory for a lot of people to believe, first and foremost because of the pristine condition the bullet was in if it had gone through that much flesh and bone. And secondly, the reaction times between Kennedy's reaction and Connally's reaction are longer than the reaction time would be had they been hit with the same bullet. There would be a millisecond, milliseconds worth of difference, not almost a full second worth of difference in their reaction. But that difference in their time reaction was a big part of what was driving this theory that those were not separate shots that hit Kennedy in the back and hit Connally, because if they were separate shots fired by Oswald, they would have needed to be further apart than those reaction times. The estimates they gave is that it would take 2.3 to 2.5 seconds for Oswald to have fired, reloaded, realigned a shot, and fired again, and there was not that much time between Kennedy's first reaction and Connally's. There's no disagreement about the third bullet, the kill shot on Kennedy. It really, the big difference, the big part of this that developed all the conspiracies was this, did a first bullet miss? Was a second bullet a magic bullet? Or was there another shooter, since the timing sequences didn't line up? And all of that stuff about timing was based upon what's known as the Zapruder film, which is a short home movie taken by this guy, Abraham Zapruder, on that day. It's the only actual film of the Kennedy assassination. It has, over the years, been, as technology has allowed things to advance, it's now, you can review it frame by frame. You can review it in more definition than you could review it originally. And so a lot of theories have come out of that Zapruder film. Landis doesn't advance a theory, doesn't say anything other than, I want to clear the record. This is what actually happened, and this is where that bullet came from, and this is where I put it. There are a portion of people who are utilizing this information and the perceived credibility of Landis to suggest it makes it all the more viable for a second shooter theory, and laid those out. And there's another school of thought that it actually clarifies a big point and seen through a different lens solidifies that Oswald was the actual shooter and that there was never a shot that missed. The first shot hit Kennedy, but it was a misfire. And so it didn't penetrate more than an inch and a half into his back. And that's why his reaction time was strange. He never reached for his throat. I can say, having looked at the film frame by frame many times, he doesn't ever reach for his throat. His elbows are like this. His fists are clenched like this. He never goes for his throat. And we'll never know about exit wound through the throat because they did a tracheotomy. And so, any thoughts on what I've shared, guys? Whether that impacts the opinions that you've held about this thing? Does it make you more sure of what you think happened here?
Still, the opinion is more than one shooter. Yeah, I'd like to know if they match the calibers, or if they were able to match the caliber to that bullet back to that Italian rifle. I just don't. I think it's impossible for one person to get off that many shots accurately at a moving vehicle, and that's my opinion.
Kind of the same thing on my end. I don't really have a disagreement with that. One thing I question about this guy, I think it's bullshit that he just, I was never questioned. Well, you find a bullet, you stuck it on the other guy's gurney, and then good and well people think that ended up on Governor Connolly's gurney, and you don't come out then and say, oh, I put that there.
Well, he did in a report. Right?
Oh, he did?
So Arlen Specter led the Warren Commission, former senator from Pennsylvania. He chose to disregard a lot of information.
So, right. No, there's no doubt. But he knew that this was the theory. I mean, everybody in existence knew for 50 years this was a theory, that this bullet was on Governor Connolly's gurney, and he never said, no, it wasn't. Why did he wait till he was 88? That's my point.
Well, I think we have to read the book, but I think his point is he gave the report that he gave, and that information was there. He thought that he would be deposed by the Warren Commission, and he never was. And look, I'm just curious.
Not certain. It seemed like he was.
He could have some ulterior motive.
Was he trying to hide something? What?
Well, he technically tampered with evidence, and so you could say maybe in the early years he was scared that he'd be charged. With something. That's possible.
Or just get fired.
Even, you know what? He left the service shortly after this thing. Impacted him deeply, and so I encourage people to read the book.
I'm gonna read it. I'm definitely going to read it. It'd be the only one I haven't read. When it comes out, we can have another discussion on it. I shouldn't tell you what I think then. I have actually fired. I have that rifle, and
it's supposed to be a real piece of crap.
It's a piece of shit. It's probably the worst thing ever made.
A Mannlicher Kenkara, is that what it was?
I can't remember.
Yeah, Mannlicher.
I'll take a picture of it for you.
All right, we're going to bring you to Pennsylvania, and a 53-year-old man was arrested this week for attacking a woman so badly he broke her back, then barricaded himself in his house for an hour. Police officers were called regarding a disturbance and tried to communicate with the people involved. A male suspect fired 2 shots at police, then went inside. Several other law enforcement agencies, including the Pennsylvania State Police and the SRT team, arrived at the scene to assist. Officials made contact with the man inside, Scott Goldschner, and spoke with him via telephone. He eventually came out at 12:53 a.m. and the police took him into custody. Police found a handgun on the scene, but they did not exchange shots with Goldschner, and no one was injured. The suspect became angry with a female victim and started hitting her outside his home. He beat her with a bicycle, causing her to fall, then attacked her with a fish tank.
Right.
Attacked her with a fish tank. Goldschner allegedly punched the woman and bit her finger. He placed his hands around her neck and squeezed her until she saw stars and believed she was going to pass out, this from the victim. The victim sustained head wounds and had marks around her neck. Medics transported her to the Lancaster General Hospital, and doctors determined several bones in her back were broken. A second victim told police she attempted to stop the beating, but then the suspect hit her with a paddle. A 6-year-old boy sustained injuries due to being pushed into a door frame. Goldschner was reportedly under the influence of alcohol when this occurred. You think?
Right.
Yeah, right there. You know,
Crazy.
This guy was beating him with everything he could find.
Fish tanks, paddle. How big
bicycle.
is a fish tank?
The smallest fish tank is like a 10-gallon aquarium. That some bitch weighs like 25 pounds.
And, you know, broke her back.
Yeah.
Man.
That's crazy.
Well, that'll do it.
It's horrible situation there. And then shot at police, barricaded himself in his house. He's lucky he didn't get
he suicide by police.
Yeah.
So back to Philly again. Looks like spending a little time in the slammer has self-proclaimed Philadelphia area influencer Meatball regretting her decision to live stream looting and other mayhem that occurred in the city of brotherly love last week. We told y'all about this. Mike did the story on it. That decision has left her grandmother ashamed of her granddaughter, whose real name is Dodgy Blackwell, but maintains that Meatball has a certain business acumen that can be used for good. Meatball was arrested on Thursday during her live stream of the looting as large groups of mostly teenagers damaged and robbed multiple stores in Philadelphia. The 21-year-old Blackwell was hit with 6 felony counts as well as 2 misdemeanors and was seen crying in her mugshot. During the stream, Meatball boasted, "Tell the police they're either going to lock me up tonight or it's going to get lit. It's going to be a movie." Well, they did lock her up, and it turned into a bit of a nightmare for the budding social media star. Blackwell's mother bailed her out of jail. "I wouldn't have done that." And Meatball told NBC 10 Philadelphia that experience scared her straight. "I just prefer, never loot again, stay out of trouble, never go to jail." She also said on social media she was scared and traumatized, adding, "Never again in my life." Remember when you did the story, I said, I wish I would see my kids on there. I'd beat their ass, then I would turn them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Meatball's going to start a trend here because it seems like the last few days there are a number of people. One, city's getting actually tougher and arresting people. Yeah. Number 2, some people coming out and expressing some regret for some of what has gone on. So maybe we've seen the worst of this, and maybe it'll start to turn.
They got to do their jobs, and or they're supposed to do their jobs. But I mean, you got to stop it at some point. Otherwise, it's going to keep growing. Meatball can kiss my ass. She needs to go to prison.
Well, Meatball's trying.
Yeah. Well, you know what? She was on there saying it's going to be lit. It's going to be like a movie.
I saw the video.
Right?
I know.
Anyway,
good luck, Meatball.
Yeah.
We hope you turn your life around.
Right, we do.
Well, in the fall of 1980,
I was 10 years old.
I stepped foot onto a college campus for the first time.
Vanderbilt?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
And I heard the word or the couple of words, y'all, for the first time.
Right.
I grew up in Long Island, where most people said, use guys.
Use guys.
Or just guys. Use guys or just guys. And at that moment, I was pretty much sold on the South and sold on Southern accents.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I say nothing wrong with that. You say nothing wrong with that. Jim, you probably agree nothing wrong with that. But a group of scientists in Georgia are telling us that the Southern drawl is going away. That Southern accents are disappearing, and they are disappearing at a rapid pace based on the research. It's a group of researchers from both the University of Georgia and Georgia Tech together.
All right.
One of my main points about this research is if you did it with a lot of the people coming from the city of Atlanta, you're already tainting your pool heavily because that Atlanta hasn't been a Southern city since 1985. And but the famous Southern drawl is set to become extinct because Gen Xers from the Deep South and Gen Zers are trying to murder it, a new study suggests. Scientists from University of Georgia and Georgia Tech conducted the study that shows Xers and Zs display notable changes in how they speak compared to their boomer elders. The researchers studied hours of spoken word from people of different generations and saw that the accent became lighter and lighter as the speakers got younger. They say the explosion in pop culture TV, going back as far as MTV, explosion in social media, and the intrusion of Northerners into universities, into high schools as they migrated south, people from the Northeast moving into some of these southern cities, Atlanta, as we just mentioned, that all of these things have contributed to a watering down of the Southern accent. And I know, for instance, at Tulane, there are more people today that are going there from California and New York that are attending from Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi. And I think this is something to watch and something to be concerned about. There's the drawl is part of the culture. There's been somewhat of an attack on Southern culture overall for a variety of reasons over the last decade, and I think this research report is something to be concerned about. I wish they had studied the South more broadly and not focused on the state of Georgia, because I think this is in a hyper mode in the state of Georgia. I personally have found Louisiana to be significantly different than my experiences in Georgia, but I'd like to see it done across the South more broadly. And so, coming from a Yankee who married a woman from the South, actually, I married two women from the South, but one I married very happily. I think Georgia should stick this so-called research up its peach-loving ass.
I don't know why Georgia would even get that. Georgia has got.
Well, you got so much of the population in Atlanta, and you've got so few of the people in Atlanta who are actually native to Atlanta at this point that has had, a diminishing impact on those who, have multi-generational.
I'm always say y'all, pecan, and crawfish.
Yeah.
Instead of you guys. Yeah. Pecans and crawdads.
Pecans.
Yeah, I think women. Women in the South should get aggressive about teaching Northerners how to speak. Their tone and.
I used to love when I travel around the country. I'd be in New York City or somewhere, and I'd lay on my heaviest Southern accent.
All right,
and they love it.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, New Yorkers hate how they sound.
Really?
They know how ridiculous it is. Once they get out of New York and see a little bit.
I could be in Arizona today and do the same thing. There's a definite difference in the accents. So, but I never knocked anybody for it. I mean, it is what it is.
You going to say something, Jim?
I just don't think that's. That's not a Louisiana thing. I can tell you that. Everybody around here pretty much talks Southern if they're from here. They have that little twang. I don't see a whole lot of I hear it all the time with the high school kids.
Look, there's Mississippi Delta. They were doing an HBO documentary or something. They had to put subtitles underneath the people's when they're talking, and they were speaking the King's English, right? But it's with the Mississippi accent. That's all different through region.
Well, I think it's much more these cities that have become melting pot. Like L.A., no one's from L.A.
Yeah, like Orlando, nobody's from Orlando.
Las
Vegas,
Atlanta,
nobody's from Las Vegas.
But this state, while you have a few interlopers like myself, it's nothing like Atlanta or Los Angeles, and so I think it's been better preserved here than probably most other places. But watch out for those schools and universities trying to.
Interesting.
Hey y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, and all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/reallife. That's GOBBLE.com/real-life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Hey, y'all, changing my wardrobe from summer to fall, it's never easy. Luckily, Quince offers timeless and high-quality items I adore, ensuring my wardrobe stays fresh and I don't blow my budget. And there's nothing easier than going to Quince and choosing these high-quality items, like cashmere sweaters from $50, pants for every occasion, washable silk tops, and so much more. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes, and I love that. I got the stainless steel Link Apple Watch band for $59.90. It's heavy duty, it's awesome, and it's like $100 less than I could find anywhere else. And I also got a 100% organic cotton fisherman quarter zip up sweater. The color is alabaster. Man, I can't wait to wear that this fall. And Cindy got the Mongolian cashmere boat neck sweater in heather gray. And I'm telling you, these are classic pieces at a fraction of the price. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/RLRC for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/RLRC to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/RLRC. You'll thank me later.
All right, we're going to take it to Memphis. Speaking of Southern, and Memphis, I think Tennessee is one of the ones that
they have their own dialect pretty much.
Everybody I've met from Tennessee got a Southern dialect that is from there, born there, got parents from there. You know,
well, they're currently under siege because you've had the mass migration to Tennessee over the last decade, specifically Nashville, where you don't have as many natives again.
Well, this is in Memphis, and a former sheriff's office captain was taken into custody this week for shooting a pest control salesman because she believed him to be a hitman. Detectives were investigating. Yeah, it's horrible. Detectives were investigating the shooting at a residence in Memphis, and the Shelby County Fire Department transported one man to a local hospital in critical condition, and a woman was detained. Monica Johnson and her father were in the living room when she noticed on her security camera an unknown subject with a hoodie was walking to her door. She thought he was carrying an assault rifle. Johnson fired at the unknown subject, who turned out to be a salesman carrying an iPad. The victim suffered a gunshot wound to the torso, and investigators found the firearm in the attic's crawl space. Detectives arrested Johnson and booked her into the Shelby County Jail for aggravated assault. She posted $4,000 bond the next day. It blew my mind when I saw a $4,000 bond. That's it. She reportedly believed it was a hitman because her son, who is currently incarcerated for child rape, told her a local gang might be after her. Johnson previously served as captain in the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, but was fired after she was charged in 2016 for coercion of witnesses and official misconduct related to her son's criminal case.
Crazy.
Salesman walking to your door with an iPad.
You shot him.
Yeah, and you know, this lady's been expecting.
I don't know what that kind of iPad looks like.
This for years. Yeah, I don't know how. I don't care how bad your cameras are. I don't see how you mistake an assault rifle for an iPad.
$4,000,
and vice versa. That's just crazy.
It is crazy. Well, y'all, let's go to Phoenix. And this story is just another disturbing story. A mother and a son from Phoenix say they are devastated after their escaped pet, an emu, that's right, emu, was killed when officers from Mesa Police Department attempted to capture the bird and force it into the back of their patrol car. Now, could you imagine? I wish somebody had a video of that. The bird known as Richard. There is one?
There is video.
Oh, my God. The bird known as Richard was known to occasionally break free of its enclosure, but would always make it back home alive. On this occasion, a neighbor called the local police department to help assist, but things took a tragic turn, and officers attempted to lasso the 6.5-year-old emu, but in doing so appeared to damage the bird's long and fragile neck. Now, I don't know any cops that carry lassos, but anyway, cell phone footage shot of the incident show officers standing around the bird, which can be seen lying flat on the ground after apparently choking the bird following a police restraint. Footage of the failed arrest sees the bird struggling against two officers, wildly flapping its wings as it attempts to break free. One of the officers could be seen with his hands around the bird's neck, while another shot shows a rope around it. At one point, both rear doors of the patrol car, I'm not putting an emu in my car, my patrol car, but anyway, at one point, both rear doors of the patrol car were open, and officers appeared to drag it by its neck into the vehicle. When that approach failed, the bird suddenly appeared lifeless with its long neck hanging upside down. Police officers could then be seen attempting to revive the bird, and I'm not doing that either, by giving it some water. But it was no use, and the emu remained unresponsive. You can't put a lasso around their neck trying to yank on them and get them to do what you want them to do. You're going to kill them, said the bird's owner, Stephanie Moline, to Box 10. It was so inappropriate. It was completely unnecessary. And she described the unusual pet as awesome. You could hand feed her. I'd go out and pet her and cuddle her. And she was just so much fun. And through tears, I'm really going to miss her. Well, Michael Davis, who captured the tragic chain of events on the camera, says he believes the police were heavy-handed in their response. Well, I mean, fuck it.
Yes.
Right? I don't think it needed to happen that way that it did. They needed animal control. He was just very calm, just wandering around, not aggressive at all, not threatening. Everyone that was out here witnessed it said, "Is it breathing? Are you choking it?" The emu was obviously in distress and kicking and screaming as deputies tried to get her in the car. Then it stopped moving. Unfortunately, nobody knew what to do at that point, Davis told the news. Davis says the officers were ill-equipped and untrained. You know what? They're not trained to deal with fucking emus. This chick needs a ticket for letting this emu run around. Davis says the officers were ill-equipped and untrained to deal with the situation. And officials with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office said deputies arrived on the scene following a call for the loose emu, and during the corralling, the bird collapsed and died. Milan does not agree with the police version of events. There was no corralling. I don't think you need a lasso for that, said Milan. I think that they were thoughtless. My 11-year-old's first call response was, did they call animal control? Did they call wildlife response? And they should have called animal control, and they're not trained to deal with an emu. And fuck that emu, is what I would have said. And get the owner to come get it.
Wow, emu hater.
I mean, we probably dealt with more animal complaints when I was in uniform patrol. I said, you never listened to the story the lady brought me out about her horse standing in the field and said, my horse has been raped. And she wanted me to collect semen samples out of it. I mean, I'm like, fuck you. I'm like,
Okay, so agreed. But can we agree that Maricopa and Pinellas are officially the two most fucked up counties in the United States? Because we
report every week on them.
We get the craziest freaking stories out of both places.
I agree. That's definitely a crazy story.
It's a strange pet to have, but hey,
do you tell Miss Jerry this? There's a law in Louisiana. There's not a leash law technically, but there's a law against allowing your dog to roam freely without you there. Evidently, the emu was roaming freely, and it bothered someone. I don't even know why they were called.
Well, our next story takes me back home. Takes me to Forest Hills, Queens, in New York, which is the former site of the U.S. Open. For years and years, they played the U.S. Open at the Forest Hills Tennis Center before they moved it to that huge complex they now have for the U.S. Open. So it's a very, very nice area within Queens. If you've never been to the nicer part of Queens, you'll be shocked when you see Forest Hills. The story I'm about to share kind of reminds me of the story involving the riverboat in Montgomery, Alabama, when the bunch of white guys stole the parking spot for the riverboat, and then they all got in a fight on the dock and all that kind of stuff. This is kind of one of those, but it's happening on a street in Forest Hills. So, and this happened a year ago, but video was just released a couple of days ago. So a newly released video shows a group of partygoers getting sprayed with a water hose by a neighbor while attending a surprise birthday party in Queens. Eve Duraso, 52 years old, is the head of emergency medicine at Lenox Hill Hospital in Manhattan. He said that his heart rate was skyrocketing as he discussed the September 17, 2022 incident, despite the fact that he's used to dealing with emergencies in his profession. Quote, my resting heart rate is only 48. I can tell you right now it's over 100. I'm feeling the anger right now as we speak, Duraso said during a press conference at the Cochran Law Firm in the financial district. That would be the Johnny Cochran Law Firm, just saying. I'm a trained professional. I deal with emergencies, added Duraso, flanked by his wife, Claude, and some of the other 19 partygoers who have all filed suit against their neighbor, against Duraso's neighbor, Marcus Rosebrock, alleging Rosebrock used water as a calculated tool that harkens back to the Jim Crow South. That was their language. Everything we had worked on so hard was in ruins, Claude said. She told reporters that the evening in question, our beautiful clothes, our bodies, the place settings, the food, the drinks, the entire backyard were no longer able to be used because everything was wet by my neighbor's hose. The video that was released late Wednesday showed the guests scattering and trying to avoid the water that was coming over the fence into the backyard of the Duraso's Forest Hills home, where the couple was throwing a birthday party, a 47th birthday party for Eve's sister Rose. She also had just gotten engaged, so it was a combination birthday and engagement party. Eve said that the neighbor Rosebrock didn't even ask him to lower the music or do anything to communicate with him prior to, quote, opening fire with his garden hose. And the 19 revelers, mostly black and Latino with one white guest, they're getting wet. If someone asked me to turn the music down because their kid couldn't sleep, that would automatically happen. There were absolutely no words prior to hosing us. We had to make a quick calculation of our safety, what to do with our anger. We had the sense to videotape this, he said. The video shows a sprinkling of water coming over the fence and then stronger streams of water continuing to come into the Duraso's yard several more times. And one of the guests videotaping everything. A woman not associated with the guy that they're suing, they actually have not identified this woman, came to their front door with her German Shepherd and threatened them and requested that they lower the music. And apparently they did not accommodate her request, which came at 9:50 p.m. We don't know yet what time the other neighbor started with the hose over the fence. But you can tell from the video, which is heavily edited, that the music was loud, that the hose was not me taking a hose, turning it on full speed and shooting it at you. It was like more like a sprinkler with rain coming into the backyard. So now this has turned into a feud where we've got the Johnny Cochran law firm making all of these wild accusations that the 1 minute and 12-second video that I saw, I don't believe backs up at all. And that neighborhood becoming very split between those supporting these claims by the Durasos and others that are on the side of the other neighbors. I don't know why they didn't lower the music. I don't know why, if Rose Brock didn't make a specific request, why he didn't make that specific request.
Real simple. Call 911, music complaint. Cops would have showed up and made them turn it down if they thought it was too loud.
I believe they did, and I think it was the woman that made the call, but they showed up quite a bit later. Yeah, so I don't know if response times in Queens
No, that's what I'm saying. Before these assholes turn on the hose and all that, they should have called the cops, and there would never been a hosing incident.
No, I agree with you. What I'm saying is I think they did. I think the woman that had the German Shepherd called the cops, and as is pretty typical there,
Stupid.
It takes a while for them to show up.
Stupid.
It's ridiculous, but it is
a lawsuit out of water fire.
I mean, it's beyond stupid, but it is getting lots of headlines in the New York area because it's entertaining stupidity.
Entertaining stupidity is crazy too. Yep.
And you wouldn't let me do a Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce story, so
you're right. You're right.
I will try again.
You can now take off that belt and move freely around the cabin.
Mile high crime for Thursday, and a man was arrested at the Palm Beach International Airport after telling another passenger he put a bomb on a plane. These guys just can't get it, man.
Can't see that shit.
No, 62-year-old Kenneth Songus of North Palm Beach was a passenger on an Agovino Airlines flight from New Haven, Connecticut, where he made the threat to another person while disembarking from the plane. When the unidentified passenger heard the comment, they informed a gate agent, Deshaun Stevenson, and they called authorities, of course. Songus was promptly arrested by the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, and he is charged with disorderly conduct, threatening to place a destructive device with intent to do harm, and he was even booked into jail on Thursday evening and released 2 days later on a total bond of $26,000. So if he's convicted, he can face up to 15 years in prison and obviously thousands of dollars in fines just for being a dumbass.
Just for saying you got a bomb.
I mean, really.
What airline did you say he flew?
Avelo Airline.
Have you ever heard of Avelo?
No.
I've seen that. I think it's red and white.
Avelo.
No,
I have not heard of it.
I think maybe Velo does allow you to make bomb threats. I mean,
maybe so. Well, it was
or they're flying bombs. I mean, Avelo Airlines. I don't know.
Crazy.
Well, the whole point is you make one statement and now you're in jail.
Yeah.
You don't get released for 2 days.
Right.
Your bond's $26,000 and you could face up to 15 years in prison just for like
part of that which is federal.
idiocy, man. So
Part of that which is federal.
yeah, that's your mile high crime for today.
Yep.
You can now take off that belt and move freely around the cabin.
This is one here.
Crimes for Thursday, and this has me squinching my legs together. This is disturbing. So, a 74-year-old Florida man, probably from Pinellas County, was arrested on Monday following a botched castration attempt on an individual he met via a dark web fetish site.
God.
Gary Van Rysick of Sebring, Florida, was detained by officers from the Highlands County Sheriff's Office on Monday and charged with practicing medicine without a license and resulting in bodily injury. Deputies arrived at the man's residence shortly before midnight Sunday after the 911 hang-up call. The door was answered by Van Rysick, who told them he had castrated a man. The man was found on a bed in the home, bleeding heavily from the groin, right? Close by, listen to this, close by, a pink container contained his testicles. The room had been set up like a surgical center, complete with the medical equipment and painkillers. A camera had also been set up to record the procedure, but it was not immediately clear if it was filming. Van Rice admitted he met the victim, who has not been named, on a website on the dark web dedicated to the castration fetish.
Who the hell has a castration fetish, man?
Right.
What the fuck?
Right? They got one for everything. They got one everything. So
you can only do it once. You can't have a fetish. You know, it only happens once.
Listen to this. So Van Rice told the man that he had previously conducted castration on animals and had removed one of his own testicles back in 2012.
Holy smokes,
you could cut
dude.
one of your. I always talk about slicing your own throat. You bad. If you can cut one of your balls out, you the baddest dude.
You John Wayne,
right?
baby.
The botched procedure started on Sunday at roughly 10 p.m. However, the home patient started to bleed heavily, resulting in difficulty closing the wound. And Van Rice told police he had attempted the same procedure on the man a week prior, but it was delayed. He claimed to have castrated a man a few years ago in a motel that had similar results, but was not reported to law enforcement at the time. The initial procedure had to be pushed back a week because the man had ejaculated while Van Rice attempted to sanitize his penis. Can't make that up. Scott Drussel, Sheriff's Office PIO officer, told the media outlet he was unsure if the patient's testicles had been reattached. I don't think you can reattach testicles, right? No. But he remains in stable condition, and he said, I don't know if he would even want that, Drussel noted. Van Rice's bond set at $250,000, and hang-up calls are pretty routine, and deputies respond to many of them per shift, but most of them don't make the cut when it comes to being memorable.
No
this
pun
one will
intended.
definitely hang around in the memory for a while, the Florida Sheriff's Office said. And here's a picture.
The fact that people like this actually exist is insane.
He was trying to do it the week before.
Castration fetish.
He did it the week before, but he ejaculated when he was sanitizing his penis. Like, your cops come in. Look, if I'd have walked in,
we gonna have to reschedule.
I have never thrown up on a crime scene in my life, but if I walked in and seen that dude's nuts in a jar, I probably would have puked. Yeah.
Wait, where in Florida was this?
Sebring, Florida.
Jesus.
That's Pinellas?
I was thinking it's got to be.
That might be Pinellas. That reminded me of, remember when Saturday Night Live used to be funny and they do the fake commercials and they had this car that was supposed to ride so smooth that they had the guy performing a circumcision in the back seat
I think I do remember that one.
of the car. Yeah. So, hey, Jim, Agovino Airlines is an American ultra low-cost carrier headquartered in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It previously operated charter flights as Casino Express Airlines and Extra Airways before transitioning to scheduled operations and rebranding as Avilo on April 8th, 2021. There you go.
There you go.
Avilo Airlines.
Straight from the thing.
They've got like 6 really old 737s. I don't know. Probably not the people you want to say you're bringing a bomb on board.
There you go.
Well, that was kinky as shit. Not the
Kinky,
V.
That might-
kinky and scary.
That might be the
That might make the all kinky team.
I thought we had the one last week, but that one takes the shit right there.
Bruh, that's castration.
All right, dumb criminals.
Jesus Christ.
Did you get that subtle French flair to that to the music today? We tweaked it a little bit.
Cajun,
Yeah, it's a little more straight French or French Canadian.
Okay.
Might be better because our dumb criminal today is a French Canadian.
All right. So are the Cajuns. They came from Canada.
Fiona Goulet. Goulet.
Goulet. Definitely Goulet.
Say it with some snootiness.
Goulet.
Goulet.
Well, her Goulet's jewelry was missing. Her electronics were gone. And a window was smashed. No wonder why she was hysterical when Officer Sharnajit Maharu of the Calgary Police arrived. Minutes later, her French-speaking father called. While talking to him on the phone in French, she explained not to worry, that it was all a scam in order to collect insurance money. What she didn't suspect was that Officer Maharu speaks 6 languages, including French.
Right. Dumb.
What happens when you assume?
Make an ass out of you and me.
And you get some banjos and some fiddles.
As do that.
Silly Fiona. Goulet.
Slap you. Taste of leather.
Did you dog bait? No, my dog doesn't bait.
All right. Well, that brings us to a lovely end to our Thursday episode.
There you go.
ourrescue.org.
Yep.
Help end human trafficking worldwide.
Love and appreciate it. All y'all, please continue to like and share and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Real Life, Real Crime Daily.
Please send me some protective headgear suggestions, or just send me protective headgear. I'm going to need it next week.
Right? We'll get you a shower cap.
Shower cap. Be great. All right. Until next time, I'm your host, Jim Chapman.
I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agovino.
For Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.
Aglets.
Shop early, save big, all month long during Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Right now, get select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at just $59.98. Don't wait to save. Shop these deals today, in-store or online, because Lowe's knows deals. Discount taken at time of purchase while supplies last. Selection varies by location.